You're watching Escape Adulthood Live, your number one source for long-lasting, fast-acting, physician-approved adultitis relief.
On this episode, we're talking about taking baby steps and developing a rock star mindset in changing times with speaker, author, and drummer Mark Schulman.
Greetings and salutations, everyone. This episode is brought to you by people like Shia Johnson, Sharon Carver, and Pete Minavasa. Their membership in the Wonder and Whimsy Society supports us in this work to fight adultitis. Thank you, guys.
Yes, if you'd like to annihilate the adultitis in your life, learn more about the Wonder and Whimsy Society, or be the first to know about our newest offerings, be sure you're an insider and subscribe at escapeadulthood.com/subscribe. Happy Wednesday, everybody.
Happy Wednesday. Good to be here. I'm excited about this one, Kim.
And
I'm
happy
excited
fall.
about this one.
Oh, tonight. I know. You guys, we hyped it. And
Fall schmall. Who cares about fall?
You don't care about autumn?
Not tonight. Not on this show.
Tonight. Tonight is a night to rock.
We're all gussied up with our musical.
Jason's got his Rock and Roll Hall of Fame shirt on.
This was this was from where was it?
Cleveland,
Honolulu. No.
Oh, we got it in Honolulu.
From what is that?
Hard Rock Cafe.
Yeah, Hard Rock Cafe.
Yes. Okay.
So this is where
I thought about it in Cleveland.
No, it says Honolulu.
Yes.
This is the one that makes me feel like I'm Eddie Vedder.
Okay, this
Except
is Eddie Vedder
the cool
shirt.
voice and the ukulele and the awesome band.
And I've got my Nashville. I can't even think of the Bluebird Cafe shirt on tonight as like singer songwriter vibe going on. But we have an awesome show, you guys. We're so excited. Should we just jump into it?
I think
we did see a
asked
few
who some of
really
everyone's
good
favorite
bands
musical
here.
acts are, and some good ones. Queen, Beatles, can't go wrong there.
Duran,
Garth
Sharon.
Brooks. I like Gina mentions the Pink concert in 2018 at Summerfest was pretty fantastic.
I knew the Pink fans would be coming out tonight.
What else we got? Yeah, we got some good ones. Styx, I think, was mentioned.
Yes.
Bruce Springsteen,
Elton John,
Fleetwood
Van Halen. These are I really just
good.
want to make a mixtape immediately.
Well. We have someone with us tonight who knows some of those folks fairly well.
Yes.
So let's dig it. Let's get into that. All right, you guys, we have a very special guest tonight. We're really excited to have this conversation with Mark Schulman. He has enjoyed unprecedented career over the last 30 years as a first call drummer for world-class rock and pop artists. He's done 4 record-breaking world tours as the drummer for Pink. You may have heard of her.
Right?
I think she might be somebody someday.
Yeah,
I think she's
going
working her way
somewhere.
up. Yeah.
She's going somewhere.
And has also worked with the who's who of international rock and roll royalty, including acts such as Cher, Billy Idol, Foreigner, Sheryl Crow, Stevie Nicks, and Beyonce. Mark is a classically trained cellist, author.
That's
I don't know if he's
talent.
a classically trained author, but he's a classically trained cellist and an author and a corporate speaker. And, probably the coolest of all, a cancer survivor. He's performed for over 1 billion people in his career. What have you been doing with your life, Kim? And he is with us tonight to share his secrets to developing a rock star attitude. Mark, thank you so much for being with us tonight. How are you?
Can I have that applause button with me at all times? That's so great.
We'll just
you guys
follow
were
you around,
magnificent.
Mark.
What an intro. Normally the people are so serious about the intro. And you guys, you're just a bunch of kids.
Right.
What are you? Right? That's what it's all about tonight, being a bunch of kids.
That's right. Well, you told me when you were watching some of the videos that Mark had,
yes.
And Pink gave him a little bit of a nickname, right?
Well, there was the promo video on your site where she called you Disneyland because you're like the happiest person she knows. Is that like a thing between you two?
No, I just feel very honored that an artist of such just amazing talent and status would bestow upon me the nickname of Disneyland. But that's because I am a gratitude evangelist, and it's contagious. And that's what she bases it on, because I have constantly talked about the power of gratitude. I talk about the power of gratitude. It's one of my big focal points when I speak, and how you can use gratitude to be an immediate attitude shift. So we can even talk about that. If there's anything that anybody wants.
Where did that come from? Were you always someone who had that mindset, or did that kind of come with time?
I have generally been the glass is half full type of guy, but I've made a lot of conscious decisions, and I'll just get right into it. So fundamentally, what I talk about, what I live, eat, and breathe, and I'm writing my next book about, co-writing my next book with this great man, Dr. Jim Samuels, that actually sort of created these concepts, is based on the power of attitude. It's based on a formula. And essentially, as we know, after all we've been through with this pandemic, we cannot control what happens to us so much of the time. But you always have the power to change, control, or shift your attitude about what is happening to you. And all that is simply a decision that you make to choose an attitude that serves you. And why would you do that? Because it gives you leverage. And don't underestimate the power of a decision, because when you truly make a decision, you're cutting off all other possibilities. And your attitude is your viewpoint. It is your reality. It is what you see. It's your vantage point or your disadvantage point, depending upon the attitude that you choose. Because what we look at, what we look at and what we see, it's not what we look at, it's what we see and perceive that matters. The way we perceive ourselves, the lens through which we see the world, the meaning that we attach to people, places, and circumstances are all based on the stories that we tell ourselves. And these stories are based on the attitudes that we have the power to choose. And who's telling the story? You're telling the story. You're the narrator. You can change the narrative. So there's so much power in understanding that at any moment in time, you actually do have the power to shift your attitude. And it's a conscious decision. And then your attitude is what drives your behavior. Think about the power of that. That's huge. Your attitude can drive your behavior. And then your behavior is what determines the consequences of your life, the outcomes of your life. So by shifting your attitude, you are literally changing the outcomes of your life. That's huge. It's so simple. It's so powerful. It's A times B equals C. It's that simple. And that's what I live by. And that's why I'm such an evangelist. And gratitude is one of the immediate attitude shifts. Because if you're feeling funky, and I mean funky not like you want to dance, but feeling funky, like emotionally compromised, and you just stop in that moment and give yourself the luxury of using gratitude, being grateful for a person or something, and just sit with it. And then do it again. And then do it again, and then do it again. It's like you're building up a fortress of gratitude that literally surrounds, fills, and protects you. And I get on stage every single night. And when I have my little break, when I'm playing with Pink, and then they're showing a little film, I always think of one person for which I'm grateful. And then the endorphins literally, like I can feel the endorphins in my brain and the shift in my body, and it literally empowers me. So that's an example of one of my immediate attitude shifts. So that's where our Disneyland was a long-winded answer to where Disneyland came from, because I would always talk about gratitude. And it's so contagious that, that became a thing.
Well, it's definitely something that's a message that we can get behind and talk a lot about. It's unfortunate you didn't have anyone to share that with this last year, because no one needs that message in a time where we feel like we have no control, right? But that's the whole point, is we have so much more control than we realize.
For such a time as this, for your message and the power of that to change people's reality, right?
Yeah, for sure. So let me ask.
Reality is based on your perception, and your perception is based on the attitudes that you choose. It's that simple. So you really can alter your reality, the way you perceive the world, by shifting your attitude.
For sure.
Yeah.
I want to know, how did you get into the music business? Like, how did that,
Obviously,
especially,
he's a cellist.
how do you go from a
yeah.
classically trained cellist
Right.
to drummer for Pink and Stevie Nicks?
All right, well, let's go back a little bit, right? I'm old enough that I saw the Beatles on Ed Sullivan when I was like 2, and I saw John and Paul and George, and then I saw Ringo. I'm like, oh my God, something resonated. Like I got the bug. I saw his big, beautiful nose and all the screaming girls. I'm like, I want that. Like I knew drums chose me. And then my mom's like, Mom, I want to play drums. No, drums are too loud. Can't you play a nice instrument like your brother Randy? He plays violin. So I'm at my brother's violin lesson, and there's a big violin in the corner. I go, I want to play that. Well, that was cello. So my godfather, who was our teacher, would give me a little drum lesson at the end of every cello lesson. But I was never a great cellist. I really wanted to play drums. And finally, at 9 years old, my parents could not deny my passion any longer. And they bought me my first drum set, and that was it. Couldn't stop me. But I kept on playing cello. And I even played cello on the Pink tour, on the Funhouse tour, when she did one of her ballads that I didn't play drums on. I mean, I was playing easy cello parts because I would never call myself a cellist. I don't dishonor cellists anymore that way because cello is something you need to practice. I play drums. I don't even play percussion. I play drums. That's what I do. But drums literally chose me. I sat at a drum set at 5 years old. I could play. I knew what to do. I wasn't a prodigy per se, but I knew what to do. So it was just up to me to, and the support of my incredible erudite professorial parents that were both professors that bought me a drum set and let me have the drums in the room next to theirs. I mean, I give them so much credit. They were incredible people. Then they let my band rehearse, and I just grew up playing music. I didn't even get a bachelor's degree. I quit college to play music full time. And then I ended up now I do executive summits for CEOs. That's why when I got my CSP, which is that certification you get at NSA, it was a big deal to me because my dad had a PhD, my mom had a master's, and I didn't even have a bachelor's degree. And I was supposed to have a high IQ. And so when I got the certification for being a speaker, I was literally in tears. I'm like, I'm getting certified. I've arrived. If only my parents were alive to see this.
That's a huge accomplishment.
Yeah. By the way, kudos. We mentioned last week when we were letting people know you were going to be on that you had achieved that, and that's no small feat.
Yeah.
So definitely.
But I do have to say kudos to your parents because, if our 9-year-old right now, we have a 9-year-old son, and if he really was asking us drums, it'd be a hard yes. It would be hard to enter, no offense against the drums. It's more of just like the vibe of the house. Having that constant percussion that you're not in control of would be very challenging. So good for them because
we had a drum set in our house. It was my daughter's 11. So at 2 years old, she had her own drum set. She didn't care. She just didn't. Drums isn't her thing. She dances. She does martial arts. She writes. She sings. She does all this other stuff. But the drums would just sit there. And I would sit down to play. I'd play one beat. My wife would be like, no, go to the recording studio. Because I got my own studio where I have a gazillion drums. So, no, the drums, I ended up donating the drums to a charity. I could never play them at home. Wasn't fair to the family.
Well, I love that you see the Beatles and it's Ringo you hone in on. Like, to me, it's like everyone's focused on John and Paul, and you're like, no, I want to be that guy.
Well, this was it. But it was sort of a predestination. I do believe that we are born with our interests. You're an artist. You must have gravitated toward that your entire life. Am I right? I mean, some people discover their interests later on, but I was fortunate enough that the interest literally chose me. And all I needed to do was practice, which I did a lot, and play in a lot of bands. And I did that too.
Yeah.
And
go ahead, Kim.
I was going to say, so you're drumming all the time. You have probably bands in high school. It kind of sounded like, how did that transition into a full-out career? Because you kind of hear we have friends who have been in bands and, and they kind of eventually fizzle out, and then people, kind of move on. But what does that transition, what did that look like for you?
I was very myopic. That's all I wanted to do. That, and sort of, I really liked engineering and recording my band. So I became sort of a natural foray into me being a band leader. So I used to lead my original bands and record and produce my bands. And then I had the chance to audition for a supergroup called Bad English, which was the guys from Journey and John Waite. And I just horribly messed that audition up. And that was a very pivotal moment in my life because I thought it was going to change my life that day because I was going to get the gig. Instead, I sped up horribly. I got horribly nervous. And I remember going to my car and just crying, literally, and just hitting the steering wheel going, accountant, doctor, attorney. Why did I take my Jewish parents' advice and do that instead? But that was a transitional moment because that's the moment that I really made the decision that I was going to, I was either going to get off the stage for good or I was either going to improve my internal meter because I realized since I was rushing under pressure, my meter wasn't under control. And your internal tempo, your internal meter is foundational for all musicians. And then I also made a promise to myself that I was going to transition my fear into confidence. And I got very philosophical. I was studying with Dr. Jim, the guy that's now writing my book with me. I read so many books and I just did a lot of inner work. I stopped partying, I stopped drinking, I stopped doing drugs, and I just got really serious about perfecting my craft. And then I got my first road gig when I was 26 playing with Brenda Russell, this R&B artist, and it just snowballed from there. And I've been on the road ever since. I've been with Pink for 15 years. And the speaking came out of the fact that I have two parents that were teachers. And my mom, I was actually, because my dad was a grammar and composition master, he wrote 4 college level grammar books. I actually could teach grammar very well. My mother gave me my own class to teach when I was 19 illegally because she ran a tutorial center. So I taught this grammar class, and then I kind of got the bug. And then I did about 1,000 drum clinics in my life. I used to do drum clinics and music clinics and then at a point I realized, wait a minute, I could take this sort of protocol and I could apply it to the college market and the corporate market because people were resonating more with the success coaching and the stories than they were just the playing. And that's what I did. And then I started very small with a few corporate gigs and some college gigs, and I just built that up and I perfected my craft. I studied with 2 speaking coaches, an acting coach, a director, a storyteller, and I really honed in on how to do what I do for the corporate audience. And now I have, some of the biggest corporate speaking clients on the planet. And I still play with Pink. It's like, pinch me, I'm like the luckiest guy on the planet. I got a beautiful wife and an 11-year-old daughter. And I'm so grateful, but I've worked my ass off. That's true. Every day, even today, I was sitting there calling meeting planners, I love to work because I see the fruits of my labor, and I also know that what I do, I believe, has meaning. And you got a little taste of what I talk about in my speech, and that level of energy, and I'm able to give that to the people in the corporate market, especially now during COVID. And I do it virtually here, or I do it live, and I just believe that I can do something that really matters. And it's a natural evolution for me. So, because I've been playing drums on the road with all these great artists for so many years, but speaking is like a natural evolution, as you guys know, because you transitioned from what you were doing into creating this amazing speaking program. By the way, you guys, if you've never seen them speak, they spoke at the National Speakers Association when I got my CSP, and they were the hits of the entire show. Everybody loved what they did. They were just so progressive and communicated so well in your stories and your timing and your the way that you're so, the way that you synchronize. And I'm lost for words. As a guy that was tutoring in grammar and composition, I'm a little lost for words tonight. What can I say?
Well, thank you. We were talking before we pushed record about doing a little drawing lesson that we got to do, and I'm going to need a drum lesson. So maybe we'll
I owe you one. I know it's grammatically incorrect. Thanks, Michelle. Thanks for pointing that out.
Once you
I
tell
always
someone,
I always tell people I can make grammar mistakes because I know what
I
is
know what they
correct.
are. Right. Well, by the way, back to your thought about you were talking about your parents and their higher level education. I was thinking about the fact that earning a CSP is like almost getting a PhD in speaking and the speaking profession. So they have those kind of honorary degrees. That's kind of what a CSP is. So that's kind of a cool.
It's no joke. You got to put in the work. You got to be legit. You can't just fake your way through it.
Right. So it's kind of neat to see that connecting point.
Well, thank you. I mean, doing the administration for it alone, you should get your CSP because it took like 40 hours to amass 10 years of speaking paperwork and proof and check stubs and contracts, and because you really need to show that the accomplishments.
Yep.
It's accomplishment based. They don't test you. It's just based on what you've actually done.
Yeah.
So that takes a long time to amass.
For sure.
Yeah, well, Kara here is on. She actually used to work for NSA, and so she knows it's a huge accomplishment.
Awesome, Kara. Yeah, Kara knows.
She knows. Right.
I'm glad you brought up. I'm glad you brought up about getting into the speaking business because it's unusual. It's like same thing as me. Like you don't usually see artists who are willing to get up in front of people and give a talk, and you don't see a lot of musicians who are out giving speeches. As much as they're on stage, it's a different art form and it's a different craft. So I'm glad you talked about that. So I was curious about that.
You need to get bitten by the bug and feel like you have something of value, because there are so many musicians, even record label people, that contact me and say, I want to get into speaking. I said, well, just be prepared. It's an enormous amount of work. I said, I will talk you through it. I will coach you through the entire thing. I'm willing to do that. But it really is something that I've built up over time, as you have built up over time, and you really learn how to communicate in a way you want to make sure that your audience gets it. When you're playing music as a musician, it's one type of communication. To get up and actually speak and hold the attention of 20 to 10,000 people when it's only you, I call it a one-man show. That's why I call my show a rock show disguised as a keynote, because I play drums and I bring people up on stage and we do interactive clapping and interactive, sometimes they have drumsticks and we do interactive exercises with the drumsticks, and it's really fun. And I want it to be an experience that's, kinetic, not just a talking head.
Yeah.
And that's what I believe I have to offer that's unique. I mean, there are some amazing musicians that speak. Mike Rayburn is a great example. I mean, there are a lot of people. And it's funny that the speakers are the new rock stars to me. Like, I look up to the great speakers like they are rock stars, because to me, it's like, wow, you've been doing this for 20 years and you've done how many speeches? And, it's real fun.
That's fun. So tell me a little bit about the Rockstar Attitude. I know that's something that you talk a lot about. What is that? What does that mean? And how is that applicable? How do you get a Rockstar Attitude, especially if you can't drum?
Well, I pretty much gave it away already, because to me, the Rockstar Attitude means that you are willing to make the commitment to creating attitude shifts. And because to me, the rock star is the top performer. The term rock star means you are a great performer, period, in anything that you do. And that takes a level of commitment. It takes a willingness to shift your attitude to drive these behaviors and these consequences that you know are possible. And that, to me, very simply, is the rock star attitude. It's not about music. It's about being a rock star in anything you do and embracing that viewpoint, whether you're like, a waiter or a server. You can do that with an incredibly wonderful attitude. Like, even last time we went out to dinner the other night, and this gal was just amazing. She couldn't have been more than like 21 years old. And my wife's like, wow, she's such an amazing server. And she just made us feel good and just was so attentive and so appreciative. And it's like, that's the rockstar attitude. Rockstar attitude means you are shining in everything you do. It means that you're unwilling to deny yourself and the people with whom you're communicating anything but the best of what you got and the best you can give. And certainly we're not always in that mood, but that's the importance of the attitude shift of knowing. I'm going to take you through a quick attitude shift right now. Everybody can do this right now. I'll show you what I do every single day in my life. This is how I create the attitudes. Okay. The idea is I want to think of an attitude that I want to foster, that I want to create. You can call it an attitude, you can call it a mindset, you can call it a viewpoint, whatever you want to call it. Essentially, would be an example like happiness or love or confidence or joy. Let's take joy as an example. That's the very, very easy one. So what I want to do is I want to combine the best psychology and physiology that I have learned to be able to produce the most immediate and powerful results to create an immediate attitude shift. So the idea is I want to first prep my brain that something cool is about to happen. And the easiest way of doing that is simply counting backwards from 5 like it's a rocket launch. So I'm going to do it right now. So I go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I shut my eyes. I clench my fist as tight as I can. I tighten my core and I recall a time when I was joyful. And then I hold it. Let it go. I was just thinking about the other night, we were walking our dog and my daughter was so into her mythology books that she was telling me about it. She was having so much fun. She wanted to go around the block again. And she gave me this big hug and kiss and I could smell her hair and I could, feel the muscles in her body. She's a brown belt, which the next is black belt. She's 11 years old, right? So I had just created an immediate attitude shift. So everybody stand up right now. Let's do this. I want you all to stand up. We're going to do this together. I'm going to take you through the attitude shift. Okay, I'm bending over a little bit so I can see myself. Okay, so I want you to think of a time when you were joyful. Think of a time with your significant other, your lover, your friend, your kids, when you were listening to music, when you were at a concert, any time when you were joyful. Okay, think of it. Okay, I'm going to prep your brain. Are you ready? I'm going to count backwards. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Shut your eyes, clench your fists as tight as you can, tighten your core as tight as you can, and recall a time you were joyful and hold it. And involve all your senses as much as you can. Let it go. Okay, now we're going to do it again. I want you to count backwards with me. Are you ready? I want you to think of one more time when you were joyful. Here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Close your eyes, clench your fist, tighten your core as much as you can, and think of a time when you were joyful and hold it. Let it go. Okay, so what happens is I do this 4 times in a row until I have this big old shift-eaten grin on my face. And that's when I know that I've shifted my attitude. Because as science would tell us, when you smile, you're activating hundreds of muscles in your face, and that sends a signal to your body to relax and sends endorphins to your brain. And that one attitude shift will last me hours. It might last me the day, or I might need to do it 20 times a day because I'm having a challenging day, or I might keep on repeating it because I'm at such a good place with my attitude that I just want to keep on reinforcing it. So that is a way right then and there. And I do this every single day, and it works for me. I swear to God, it works for me. I know it can work for you.
I love that.
I love it. I love it.
It's so simple. People want to make this stuff very complicated.
Yeah.
As simple. That's why we call our formula ABC, attitude times behavior equals consequence. We want it to be as easy as it possibly can be. And the first thing I do in the morning, by the way, my morning routine, the first thing I do is I get up and I go 24 brand new hours and I smile. And I just sit there in my bed like a crazy person and smile. And I could just feel the physiology changing. It literally shifts it for you. It's such an amazing, simple thing.
I'm sure Mark, I'm sure you know Willie Jolly, acclaimed speaker.
Oh, yeah. He's literally jolly.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. Well, we had him on a couple weeks ago for the same, live show. And he said the exact same thing. Do you remember that? He said that's what he does. He wakes up in the morning and he just says, I woke up. I have this day. This, that same mindset, that shift, that's so intentional. And I can't help but think that that's a common bond between this joy that both of you share.
Absolutely. And that word intentional is so strong because you are applying intention and attention. When you apply attention and intention to anything, it's amazing what we can create. And that's what we're here to do, especially after we've been through all this wild stuff.
Right.
It's really working on creating the attitude shifts that we want to, that we choose to create.
Yeah, I can't say enough how important it is for people to realize just how much control they have over things. It's like, again, this last year, it's easy to look at all the things that are out of your control and be anxious about it, but everything you're saying is within everyone's reach. And I think I was going to ask, like, what do you think is the biggest barrier to people having that rock star attitude? Is it, to me, it feels like it's probably just believing it's possible. Would you say that, or is there something else?
I was just going to say the barrier is believing you can't. You know, and what was it that was it Thomas Edison or Henry Ford that said, if you think you can do it or you think you can't do it, you're right.
Yep.
Because if you believe you can't do it, you're not going to do it because you're focusing on the double negative goal. It's like saying that if I say this right now, don't think of a white elephant. What do? You can't help but think of a white elephant.
Right.
Because the negative focus is still a focus. So if you simply change your focus to a single positive, instead of thinking about what you can't do or thinking about what isn't going to work, you shift it to what is going to work. And it's just your mind. You're senior to your mind. Your mind doesn't control you. You can control your mind. There's something powering the mind. They call it spirit, whatever you want to call it. You know, the soul. I'm not going to get too metaphysical on anybody here, but we have the power to control our minds. And once you set your mind in motion, that's why when I did that attitude shift, I was setting up my mind to expect something. And the physiology helps support the psychology. Because rather than just recalling a time when I was joyful, I'm physically putting my entire body into it. So I'm creating like what Tony Robbins would call a state change. You're changing your state, your physical state. And that's what it's all about. If you combine psychology with physiology, it's very, very powerful. And just know that you can.
Yeah.
Know that you can. You have the power. You are telling the story. You're the narrative. You're the narrator. You can change the narrative. It's simple.
I love it. I love that. You had mentioned Willie Jolly earlier, and this was a question we had asked him, and I want to get your input on this, or your take on this.
Is this the like out of left field kind of question?
Yes.
Okay, so get ready because this is off subject to everything we've talked about.
And I'm looking at left field right
The
now.
Willie Jolly was a segue that has no relevance to anything other than that. That's as close as I could get it to be out of left field.
Yeah.
So what we talk, I mean, obviously we have a lot of fun. We talk about being more childlike, bring that childlike spirit. What is a food, sound, or smell that most reminds you of childhood?
Ooh, a nice bean and cheese burrito.
Really? What's the story there?
Because it reminds me when we were a kid, every Friday night we used to go out to dinner with our friends. And most of the time we go to this Mexican restaurant called Santana's, and I'd get the bean and cheese burrito, and I loved it.
I love
Okay,
it.
now I want Mexican.
And sound of my childhood is every Beatles record ever, and every Monkees record ever.
Monkeys.
Because, that's what I listened to when I was a kid. My brother's 6 years older than me, so he got me into like Frank Zappa. So, but, whenever I listen to the Beatles, it always has like a childhood, association for me.
Yeah. So
What was the other one? So you said taste.
Oh, just eat any of them. Any of them. So you said taste.
So if I could listen to a Beatles record and eat a bean and cheese burrito,
Okay.
childhood rocks. I'm pretty childlike and sometimes a little childish.
That's all right. That's all right.
I love having an 11-year-old because she just looks at me like, you're such a dork.
That's how you know you're doing it right.
I'm like a big kid. I'm a big kid, for God's sakes,
Yeah. Well, talking about musicians, obviously we've talked about how you've worked with Pink for 15 years, I think you said.
Yeah.
And obviously she's at the top of her game. What is a lesson that you have learned from her?
Oh my God. So many. I mean, in 2010, I'll be very, very brief. We were in Berlin, Germany, and we would always end the set with the song "So What," and she would do this what we call the 360, where she'd come running out from behind the stage wearing this harness, and she'd jog down the ramp to the front of the stage, where she'd be greeted by two dancers who would clip her in with two carabiner clips, and attach to each carabiner clip or two high tension cables that would stretch across the entire audience. When she'd give the signal to the computer operator, he would lift her up, and he'd lift her, and she goes soaring across the audience. She goes speeds of like 30 miles an hour, drops of up to 25 feet. She'd even cruise around to the people in the back of the audience, so the people in the cheap seats could see the sweat on her brow. And then one night we were in Berlin, Germany, 50,000 people. Was one of the craziest audiences ever. And they were just on fire. She was on fire. She ran down the ramp full speed. They immediately clipped her in, and she immediately lifted her arm. What she didn't realize is one of the carabiner clips was turned upside down, and the dancer was trying to clip it in, and she wasn't clipped in, and she didn't know it. And by the time she realized it, and the computer dude realized it, in the 2 seconds, I'm talking 2 seconds that it took, instead of getting lifted up above the audience, she got brutally and rapidly dragged across a satellite stage, across hot lighting cans. She got yanked 6 feet off the side of the stage into what we call the pit, then pulled all the way up against the metal side railing. And that's how quickly it happened. And I couldn't even breathe. And then the audience was dead silent. The band was dead silent. She was dead silent. I literally thought she was dead. And I heard the sweetest sound. It was the sound of Pink cussing. She was cussing. She was alive. She was breathing. She was angry. This was an amazing sign. But what happened next was totally unprecedented. Because in addition to all the text jumping into the pit, her husband, Carrie, ran down, jumped into the pit to help her. Well, he helped her all right. He helped her crawl back onto the stage. The poor girl was battered, bruised. I thought she was dead. She's crawling back onto the stage, and then she's trying to stand up, the poor thing. She can't even stand up. He hops on the stage to help her stand up. She stands up. It looks like she's broken her leg. Her leg is dangling. She's leaning on his shoulder, and then she says to the audience, "Listen, everybody, I'm too injured to perform the last song, but I feel so bad. I want to give everybody their money back," with one song left. And at that point, they brought a stretcher onto the stage. They hauled her off on the stretcher, and the audience raged even louder than before. And I looked at the audience, and half the people had tears in their eyes. It brought tears to my eyes. I kid you not. I think we had this emotional realization together that we thought we lost Pink. But that was also the moment that I realized, wow, we know we cannot control what happens to us. And talk about an example of being a real rock star. She climbed back onto the stage. In other words, I talk about it as the greatest customer service on the planet. She put the well-being of her audience, of the band, the dancers, the singers, the crew, before her own well-being. And then she crawled onto the stage where she couldn't stand, and she immediately apologized. When it wasn't her fault, she took full responsibility, full culpability. And not one of the 225 people on the road lost their job or even got in trouble, because she took responsibility for the entire thing. And that's what a rock star leader does. That's what a rock star performer does. They take care of their own. And I was so blown out. Everybody was so completely blown out. And then the next day, we had a day off. Homegirl's built like a truck. She didn't break any bones or barely broke any skin. And there was rumor from management that we would just discontinue doing it because it was too darn high risk and the insurance premiums probably shot up. The next day, she didn't want to know anything about canceling. She got up during sound check, did the red check herself. That night, we were not only performing So What, she was back up doing the 360 2 days after she nearly died. I mean, the PTSD alone would have kept the average person from doing that. So what did I learn from Pink? She's a freaking badass. She will not stop at anything for her level of commitment to the audience, for her level of commitment to us, including nearly dying and not even stopping.
Wow.
So I feel like a mere mortal when I work with her. I'm on the stage looking at her, literally doing death-defying stunts every night, and she just challenges herself to no end. But that's, if you want to be world class, I heard this from another speaker and I use it in my speech. The world class begins where our comfort zones end. You want to be world class? You got to get outside of that comfort zone. And somebody said, I've seen the video, that is scary. You can't even imagine how I felt with that Christy being on the stage and not knowing. I just thought she was dead. I was like having a panic attack.
Yeah. I can't imagine. And her husband going to run.
Pissed off. Then she's like, fuck, shit. She's like cussing, excuse my French.
Sounds ever. You're like,
I'm like going, what? You're alive? And then you're having your husband drag you back to the stage? It's like, that's Pink.
Wow. Well, it's got to be so neat to work with someone that you admire and that you trust in a way that no matter what happens, because I'm sure there's just a lot of crazy stuff that happens from one show to the next, that you have that leadership that is going to give you the confidence to just keep going, right? Mm-hmm. So that's got to be such a neat feeling.
Well, she raises the bar. It's like another thing I talk about in my presentation is I made a decision that every single note that I play matters. Mm-hmm. Every nuance matters. And it finally occurred to me that if I view it that way, then I'm attaching a sense of purpose to every note. Because people talk about passion, but passion is fleeting. Passion may be how we do it, purpose is why we do it. So the moment I attach a sense of purpose to every note, I become more passionate about the note. The passion feeds the purpose feeds the passion. And that's how I've been able to play So What by Pink over 800 times. Because I know why I'm doing it. And I'm doing it because every single note matters, because she is busting her ass. And so when you have somebody like that who's your leader, every single person on that tour busts their ass for her and for the tour and for the audience and for each other. That's the Rockstar Attitude.
Reminds me a little bit of that Netflix, well, I guess it was ESPN, did that with The Last Dance with Michael Jordan and the Bulls. And there was a thing at the very end where Jordan said, like, you know, people would say how hard he was on people. And he said, I've never asked anyone to do anything that I haven't done myself. And it reminds me of that just that by example makes a big difference. So
well, he was cut from his high school basketball team.
Yeah.
I mean, he was known for just outworking everybody, you know? And it's like, if you're willing to do the work, you will reap the benefits. Yeah. And some people have it naturally, other people don't.
Yep.
And it's not even how naturally you have it, it's how hard are you willing to work.
Yeah.
And I also look at it like it's not necessarily work. Like, I don't work music, I play music. So even when I'm getting about to make a call to somebody, one of my attitude shifts is I don't have to, I get to.
Yeah.
And that's a big one for me. Like, I get to call this person and I get to connect with somebody, or I get to do this, or I even get to take out the trash because I'm lucky enough to own this house. You know, there's always a way that you can reframe things in your head to, again, shift your attitude and your perception and see it differently.
Yep.
Yeah. Boy, you have given us a treasure trove of new ways to perceive all the challenges that we have right now. And I know our comments have been blowing up. I know we've been busy talking, but people are very appreciative. Our Adultitis Fighters are just saying that this has been amazing. So thank you, Mark.
It's my pleasure. And you know, you can, if you go to markschulman.com, it's right up there. There's a lot of information, and I do a lot of little mini speeches with a lot of different concepts, and you can sign up for my newsletter. I'm actually going to release a newsletter. I was going to release it today. I haven't had the time yet. I might do it tonight because I have another speech that I've done that I need to edit. Yeah, I like to be of service. So, you know, feel free. You can even you can get to me through my website. So if you really want to get to me, you can find me.
That's awesome.
Well, Mark, this has been a treat. I have a million other questions I'd love to be able to ask, but I appreciate the time you've given us, and I'm glad that our paths crossed and that you were willing to come on and share all this great stuff. So,
and sharing time is always the greatest gift. So please thank your wife and your sweet daughter for giving a part of their evening that would have been with us. We appreciate that. So
my pleasure. I'm going to pick up the badass from martial arts in a minute anyway.
Keep her happy, man.
Yeah.
You could get beat up.
I'm so grateful for having been here because I know that you guys are the real deal and you really blew me out. And I know that you deserve this amazing following of people. And they deserve you. It's so wonderful to be able to be in the position that you're in and be able to bring people like me in and just give people all the information that you have yourselves. I'm just grateful for the whole damn thing.
Aww.
Same here.
Well,
thank you, Mark.
Keep rocking, Mark, and stay safe, and we'll connect soon.
Keep rocking too. Thank you, everybody. I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to answer more questions. I know there was so much going on, but there was so much information. So you can find me through the website and ask me questions.
Sounds good.
Thank you, Mark.
Have a good
Appreciate
night, Mark.
All right, you guys, take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Well, that was tremendous.
Oh my gosh. Do you guys see all the parallels? It's like a Venn diagram between his attitude work and our adultitis fighting, right?
Yep.
I mean, I just kept seeing the connecting points of choosing the intention and the physiology of it all.
Yeah.
It's just
I
really
love that.
cool.
I don't tap into that as much as I should, but he's right on. And it was interesting when you mentioned Tony Robbins because we've done this before where we talk about we're like a combination of Mr. Rogers and Bob Ross and Dr. Phil and like his is Tony Robbins meets Bono meets Ringo Starr.
Ooh,
so I think that's actually pretty good. So
that's really good.
All
right, guys, we have some more show for you here tonight. So thanks for sticking around for a little bit longer edition tonight, but we got some good stuff coming up.
And now a word from our sponsors.
All right.
Well, time is ticking. People want to get in on this. This is we are doing a live Wonder Hunt starting October 4th, right? Monday? Monday,
October 4th. Yeah, and it's going to be text messaging this time around. So all you have to do is get on there, go to escapeadulthood.com/wonderhunt and check it out. Each day for 4 weeks, each weekday, I should say. So 20 lessons. You will get a text with the lesson of the day, a link to it. And I think I'm really most looking forward to the community. There's just a lot of fatigue, as I've talked about recently, going on, and we just need to rally together and look for some wonder and share it with one another. So it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, we got some people who are chiming in. They're excited about it. Yeah, there is something that I think that's the point of it is the community doing it with other people. There's an accountability there. There's an excitement of seeing what other people are doing. That's like on a day that you're like, oh, I don't know, should I do it? And then you see someone else's picture and you're like, I'm going to do it too. And and there's always a lot of really cool insights that people get from your reflections and take things in a way I would say you didn't even anticipate.
Oh my goodness.
Which is cool to see.
Right. The challenges are all pretty open-ended. So, and that's designed on purpose so that we could have 1,000 people do the same challenge and not have one identical picture or finding or discovery. So hope you'll join us. Again, it's October 4th. The signups keep coming in, and every time I see someone sign up, I'm like, yay, they're joining us. So we got some really solid, amazing Wonder Hunters, some veterans, some newbies, a little bit of everything. So we hope you'll join us.
Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.
Over the last few weeks, I have been reflecting on a family trip to Hawaii and the lessons we learned on our Lanikai Pillbox hike. Now, the journey up the ridge overlooking the Mokes was not a reckless one, but some of the stretches were somewhat treacherous for the 5 and 7-year-old. During those times, each step was meticulously planned out. I'd help the kids look for, plan, and take the obvious next step. Grab my hand, step over there. Put your hand there and step onto that rock. Get down on your butt and scooch to that one. Now, of course, my layman climbing terms aside, legitimate rock climbers know this routine very well. Lots of thought and effort goes into one move that may net only 1 inch of progress. And sometimes we have to go the long way. around things to move forward. I think that's worth remembering when we're stuck in the long part of a great slog, like a pandemic, or in the midst of any great struggle in life. Back in the early days of our business, when it felt as though one step forward resulted in 3 steps back, I was often discouraged. Like when a promotion email went out and the response was crickets, or when a big marketing investment turned up bupkis, or the moments when there was too much month at the end of our money. I felt like throwing in the towel more times than I can count. Fortunately, I got some advice from a business colleague that I've never forgotten. Colin was also an entrepreneur, and he knew about discouragement. He shared a simple policy he had adopted for himself. On those really hard days, the days when you think you can't go any further, he promised himself he'd give it one more day. He gave himself full permission to abandon ship after that, but not before he gave it one more day. I adopted that approach and found that, sure enough, the next day always brought some measure of hope, a new reason to believe. It could have been a small sale. Maybe it was just a good night's sleep. It was rarely any huge breakthrough that magically happened, just a baby step forward. But the thing is, baby steps count. Movement is progress, no matter how small. Inches add up. Feel like throwing in the towel today? Give it one more day. Sometimes you just have to look for the next baby step and take it.
I remember hearing Colin say that live at that speech
Yep.
at that hotel,
Yeah.
right? You know exactly what I'm talking about. And I remember holding on to his words like they were gold for a couple years, because that was definitely in a stage of our life where we could have easily given up. No one would have blamed us. In fact, many people wondered why we weren't. And it was one of those periods of our life that I look back on and say, like, I cannot believe we didn't give up. So you do underestimate how powerful one person's, some advice you hear at the right time and how much that can make a difference for someone. Yeah.
It sounds really easy to say one more day, but like literally just like give it one more day. And it's amazing to me. Like I say, even just sometimes it's just going to bed and waking up and having a new perspective. I think what Mark said earlier about thinking about, I get to do this,
yes,
right? Sometimes that's what I would think about is what do I get to do instead of what do I have to do or what's not working. So hopefully that is an encouragement for you tonight, especially if you're in the middle of some long slog, you think like you're not making any progress, just remember those baby steps do count.
Jennifer, that was so nice. She said, I'm glad you didn't give up.
Me too.
Me too.
All right, you guys, before we get out of here, we do have to have a Let's Draw. We love doing this, and we got kind of a simple one tonight, but it's going to be fun. This is one that you can build on some important shapes and build on to create other things. So we're going to start this one off tonight with an oval.
I like your background color tonight, by the way.
You like that?
A little subconscious.
See, you notice these things. Paying attention. So I'm going to draw like a little crooked oval there.
I love how that like totally perfectly came together.
Take advantage of this. All right, now I'm going to draw a little bit of a larger oval on the outside. Nailed it. There we go. Okay. And then what we're going to do is we're going to draw a couple lines coming down off the side.
Brenda has a brand new notebook.
Ooh, exciting.
That's a huge excitement, you know? Oh, that's
all right.
Cool.
So there's a couple lines. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to draw some more crooked lines up here.
You have a weird say crooked lines.
Crooked lines.
Crooked lines.
Okay. And then we're going to do the same thing over here on this side.
Nice.
All right.
I'm seeing it.
All right, we got plate, cup, cylinder, drums, pipe.
I see the pipes.
All right, now we're going to draw another half oval down here.
Hot coffee.
Oops. There we go. And then we'll draw a little border here.
Elsa's drum roll, please.
Yep. Okay, now we're gonna add some details here. We're gonna draw some lines, some zigzag lines.
Yes.
Just to give it a little bit of a pattern. Just up and down like that. And then for these drumsticks, we'll do like a little rounded spot there, and then just kind of fill these in back here. Got little drumsticks, and then it wouldn't be a happy drum without a little face. So we're gonna put some little eyes in here, and a little smiley, and of course, then you can color it in however you want to color it in.
Jason smile, right?
I really thought it was cool talking to Mark Schulman earlier about his immediate fascination with Ringo Starr.
Right.
Because to me, that's a sign that it's legit, right? Because everyone focuses on the lead singers, the lead guitarist, right? Like
that's unique.
Yeah. That was like, oh, I want to do that. It's pretty cool. And so, what's interesting though is like it was natural to him,
right?
But like. So he probably underestimated how important that was, maybe, you know?
Right.
I think sometimes we can do that.
I also love his persistence with his parents and the perception of his parents to be like, he's persisting on this. And I would imagine they probably also picked up on his Ringo Starr like fascination,
perhaps,
right? You know how parents notice things that sometimes kids don't even notice because you're noticing all of it. So that's cool.
Well,
that really challenges me as a parent, to be honest.
And for how he said they were professors and scholarly and stuff, and that you hear a lot of stories of kids whose parents there's a lot of pressure to go into a certain industry or field or something that has a perceived high value based on the perception of the profession, right?
Right.
And to be able to have parents that were open to that is a big deal, and I think that's a good reminder for anyone who is a parent or who is an important grown up in the life of a child to be able to be that encourager for them is really huge because he didn't get the bachelor's degree, but it's somehow working out for him. It seems like, right?
How funny that's even a statement to say that he didn't get a bachelor's degree. It's like, did Michael Jordan get a bachelor's degree? Or maybe, probably, but barely.
But did he need it either? Right?
Did he need it? Right.
Yeah. All right, and then we're gonna do the little levitating happy drum.
See,
here.
Someone asked floating. Jennifer Tackett was like, "Is it gonna float?"
Seemed like
the other thing that is like a higher level. We could talk for an hour conversation. Is this idea that do we all know what we're supposed to do with our life at age 9? But some of us take a different route to get there.
Interesting.
Yeah, I wonder about that. This is so cute, by the way.
Well, there's your happy drum. So we do want to invite you to send us your happy drum. We'd love to see it. Send it to kj@escapeadulthood.com. We do have a few drawings we wanted to share this week. Jody pulled this one out. This is an oldie but a goodie.
Ro did this lesson.
Yes, this was a while back. These little accordions.
And you should have seen her face, Jody, when I shared this with her. She was like, "Oh, that's cool."
Pretty good, huh? Pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty
so
neat.
that was good. And then this is another one that's a little
Joey guacamole
combo. We got the little car.
I know.
With the turtle, and
I love how she's made it into Joey.
Get by with a little help from my friends.
So cute.
Which is was that a Ringo song?
Oh.
I get by with a little help from my friends.
I don't know which Beatle, but yeah, that's kind of a neat
I'm not a huge. I don't know all the Beatles trivia, but I seem to remember that Ringo, that was his. At least that he sang them. And what else? Last week we did the Mr. Potato Head, Jennifer Tackett.
This turned out so cute.
Great addition there. And Steven did a Mickey Mouse version of that, which I appreciated. And we didn't get to do this earlier, but I did have a meme of the week that I thought was appropriate with our Rockstar vibe tonight.
What is that?
Free air guitar. I think it says, please pick just one. To only take one. Just save them for everyone else.
Aw, that's awesome.
Isn't that awesome? Free air guitars right there.
It's very generous.
It's every town should have that.
I know. I wonder
really,
is this at like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame or something?
No, I think it was just in the town. Well, I don't know. I do not know where that's from. I think that's a radio station, maybe. Maybe outside of a radio station. There's got to be
some marketing play there.
Yes, Michelle says Ringo did sing it.
Hey,
all right.
that's awesome.
I'm glad I know something about the Beatles. That's good. All right. Well, we are almost done, but we gotta do the giveaway.
Yes,
right? We gotta have some fun with that.
Let's do it. All right, $10, you guys. We have the most comfortable gift cards in the world, as you know. Maybe you don't know. They're very comfortable.
They are.
As our son Ben says.
And you can win it by answering this question. What would be a cool imaginary band name Adultitis would not approve of?
Ooh.
It's kind of fun, right? I think
Adultitis would not approve of.
I think back to the old days when I did the Kim Jason comic strip, and I did that huge, long series in which Kim and Jason created their own band. Do you remember the name?
Slime Daisies.
Slime Daisies. I thought that was...
The best bands combine two things, and Jason, the character, had come up with the word slime, and Kim, the character, had come up with the word daisies, because that's my favorite flower. Slime Daisies. Pretty cool band name.
I think
the part that's kind of tripping me up on this is that Adultitis would not approve of.
Yeah.
Can you expand upon that?
Well, I just think it's maybe it's whimsical. It's a whimsical name.
Playful,
right?
whimsical. Adultitis would think it's not serious enough.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's
like
the Rolling Stones maybe would be. Obviously, that's not an imaginary. The Beatles is a good one. The Beatles is a great name, but I'm not sure that Adultitis would care one way or the other if you called yourself the Beatles.
Yeah.
Although there is the little linguistic fun that they have with that, with the beat, the Beatles thing. So let's see. I think some of our people have the idea. So the Play-Dohs. Exactly. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
I like that, Carol.
I love that. The Play-Dohs. I could see them at Summerfest. Go see the Play-Dohs.
The Play-Dohs.
Right?
That would be cool.
Play-Dohs on the carpet. Take it to the next level.
That's a mom's
How about
nightmare.
this? The Nada Rules.
The
I like that too.
I like that.
This is the kind of stuff that makes me actually want to take music lessons, so I can be in a band just for the name. Freaking Streakers.
Ooh,
I like that.
Anything with streaking. Adultitis is not going to
Corgis in the house.
Oh, that's cute.
Like
that would be in her house. I think.
Lego feet.
Ooh, that's cute. That's cute.
That's good.
I like it.
Joy Patrol.
Ooh.
I like that. That's a good one.
Yeah. I would go see Joy.
How about Joe Stretch and his rubber band?
Cindy.
There was actually
awesome.
Was it Adam Shoup and the rubber band? That's actually a real band. But I like the stretch.
I like the playoff. Yeah, that's cool.
How about the Bending the Rules? It's a good one.
What's this?
There's one here I saw. The Shenanigans.
Oh, Jen.
That's pretty good.
Let's start that band, Jen. I'll play the rubber band guitar.
Shenanigans. Why do I... the Weird Pineapples. There you go.
Oh, with your art. I just got it.
I like this one. The Miserable Curmudgeons.
Ooh, that's good. That's good. Yeah.
Oops. The Lot of Fun Band.
Oh, that's cute.
Ooh, how about this? Glitter Bombs.
Ooh. Glitter Bombs. Instead of T-shirts, you just
I don't think I could pick one here.
Guns, right?
How about Brooke with the desserts first?
Ooh, Brooke. That's cool.
That's pretty good.
I like that.
Skinny Dippies.
I love it.
That's good.
Yeah.
Mud Puppies.
Oh, that's cute, Jill.
Matchbox Cars.
Oh,
that's a good name.
I like that. Yeah.
The Flying Penguins.
Ooh, nice.
Unicorn Popcorn.
Unicorn Popcorn.
I would like
Say
to
that
design
5 times fast.
I want to design that album cover.
Can you do that for Let's Draw next week?
Unicorn.
Ro would love this because anything unicorns, seriously.
What else?
Popcorn.
The Good Vibers.
Ooh, that's perfect.
How about Cranky Pants and the Party Poopers?
Birthday girl, by the way.
Ooh, happy birthday, Kristen.
And you're here with us. How honored are we?
Yeah, baby. Yeah.
That's good.
I was so excited I didn't pay attention to hers. Can you put hers back up?
Oh, her band name?
Yeah. Cranky Pants and the Party
Poopers. That's good. How about the Finger Paints? The Finger Paints.
Oh, that's good, Amy.
Good. Good job, guys. You guys got my vibe. You were picking up what I was putting down. Thank you so much for being here tonight.
I know it was a long show tonight, but I hope you believe what we believe, which Mark was amazing.
Yep.
And I don't know who's going to wake up tomorrow and do that whole like morning pep talk thing.
Well,
After 2 interviews of people telling us that, it's time.
Yeah, it's time.
Right?
And I think that physiological thing,
Yeah.
I mean, to me, that's what the Wonder Hunt is all about.
Yeah.
You're getting outside. You're going to look around, you're bending down, you're looking around. There's something about getting your body moving that helps get those doldrums.
In fact, we did a live Wonder Hunt at the summit, and those who were kind of on the outskirts who didn't necessarily participate, there were probably at least 20 of us wandering around looking for cool things. Those who kind of commented on us later were like, it was almost like a group of CSI agents.
Yeah,
you know?
I saw that.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, it looked like a crime scene. They're all investigating.
Which I'm sure Paul would appreciate in his own
fun.
way. But yeah, we're all kind of like, ooh, is that something? Is that something? Let me get that. But there is something very physiological about the Wonder Hunt that you're right. There is something about that. So
yes. Martha says another great show. Thank you. And Tracy, great show once again. Thank you for the midweek pick me up. I appreciate that. I have to tell you though, the show is fun because of you guys.
I know.
I love all of the people that watch the show. I know a lot of people watch it on replay. There's some shows that I watch religiously, podcasts and stuff that I never catch live. So I appreciate that.
You watch a lot of shows while you're painting.
Yep. But I just, the community that shows up here on Wednesday night, that makes the time to be here. We really appreciate it, and you guys make it fun. Those giveaway questions would be pretty lame without you. Like
if I was answering them, I'd be like,
so.
That's not my skill set, as you guys know. Quick thinking.
Yes.
No.
Yeah. So
quick creative thinking is not my skill set. For sure, but that's exactly his skill set. So I guess we balance each other pretty good.
We do okay.
Yeah.
Well, that is it for this show. Thank you to Mark Schulman who took time to be with us tonight. That is it for this show, though. Until next time, Adultitis Fighters.
Shine on, spread whimsy, and be awesome.